Hello and welcome to my TED Talk. It's so good to have you all here, whoever you are and wherever you are. I'm so excited to be able to share with you guys about Holy Spirit. I'm really honored to have this invitation. Holy Spirit is just such a good friend, and that's what I've discovered more and more, is that Holy Spirit is a friend. He's a helper. He's not just some mystical divine energy that we turn to when we need impossible things to happen. He's not just some like mysterious aspect of God. Yeah, there is mystery involved, but he is God. Like, he's a person of the Trinity. He's a friend. He's just as much God as Jesus, just as much God as the Father. And he's sent here to help us. I want to talk about 3 different attributes of the Holy Spirit, 3 different titles that we have for him, and what that practically means for us. I want to get really practical here too. Number 1, Holy Spirit is called the Paraclete, right? We've heard that before. Paraclete is a word that means advocate. It means your helper. We have a helper in the Holy Spirit. We have someone who's actually given, who is divine life, divine energy living inside of us, that's actually meant to help us accomplish things that are impossible to accomplish outside of him. Okay? So he's a Paraclete. He's our helper. He's advocating for us to the Father. He's like all the time. Imagine just having someone constantly on your team asking for the best things for you, asking for like all the things you could ever need. That's Holy Spirit for us. He's our advocate. So often in life, I think we try to do things on our own. That's what I've realized. That so often I just try to push through on my own, try to make things happen on my own, try to evangelize, try to even live a life of faith on my own. And I'll end up being burnt out because I'm doing it relying on myself and not actually on the divine power of the Holy Spirit that I have access to because he lives inside of me. Okay? When Jesus died and then rose again, ascended to heaven, he sent down the Holy Spirit carrying the blueprint of heaven, right, inside of us, that we actually have access to a whole supernatural graces because of we have God in us. That blows my mind all the time, and it should blow my mind even more than it does. But it's incredible that we have God within us. And he's our helper. What does that mean for us practically then? It means that actually we need to put ourselves in situations where we need help. If I am never actually putting myself in places where I need help, then I'm never actually going to experience him as helper for me. That's just the practical reality of it. But when I put myself in situations where I need divine help, where I need his power within me, where I put myself in a situation where I would fail if it was just me, that could be praying over a friend for healing. That could be even like maintaining a consistent like prayer life where I'm encountering the Lord every day. That could be having a really tough conversation. It could be dreaming a dream that is impossible on my own. It's when I put myself in situations like that I actually I release the power of the Holy Spirit in me as helper, because he's not going to force me. He's a gentleman, okay? He doesn't force me to do anything, but he invites me, and he's continually inviting me to to put myself into places where I need help. And when I do that, then I'm actually able to experience his power as helper. Number 2, he's our counselor. Say counselor. Counselor. Great. We love it. It's typical speaking at Damascus. We always tell people to repeat after us. It's so funny. Anyway, he's a counselor. What does that mean practically? It means that he actually has wisdom. You may not know how to evangelize your family, but he does. You may not know how to evangelize your school, but he does. I think so often we don't see because we don't actually ask. We don't actually ask for the counsel of the Holy Spirit. Every single problem that we could ever imagine, he actually has an answer to, and we have access to him. But again, if we don't actually ask those questions, then we're actually never releasing that power of him as counselor in our lives. We're called, he calls us to ask big. We're called to carry the solutions to all the world's problems within us and to release that outside. So it takes us actually asking those questions, to sit with the Lord, to spend time with him, asking him, Lord, how do you want me to evangelize my family? What does it take to evangelize my school, my sports team? What is your will for my life? How am I supposed to live? What am I supposed to do for my summer? What am I supposed to do for this? When we do that, we actually release his power as counselor in our life. And number 3, he's comforter. This one's so real because I think sometimes we think of him as comforter as like someone who, like when we're sad or lonely or depressed, he comforts us, which is also super duper true. He does do all those things. But he's comforter in our uncomfortability. When we step into uncomfortable situations, like praying for healing for a person, like having like evangelizing our school, like whatever it might be, there's so many different things that all of us can think of that are uncomfortable. When we step into that place, he's released as comforter within us. We release a greater measure of Holy Spirit. I don't need a comforter if I'm never actually uncomfortable. But when I step into uncomfortable places, all of a sudden I have greater access to the Holy Spirit as comforter in my life, and he's released in greater measure. So put yourself in places that are uncomfortable. Every day I try to challenge myself to do at least one uncomfortable thing, because that actually allows me to grow with the comforter, to become more familiar with him. So get uncomfortable. Learn to live in just a constant state of discomfort and allow the Holy Spirit to be the one who comfort you. So he's helper, he's advocate, right? Put yourself in places where you need help. You're not gonna be able to do what you need to do on your own. Allow him to help you. Number 2, counselor. Ask him questions. What is his will for your family, for your school, for your sports team, for your life? Number 3, comforter. Put yourself in places that are uncomfortable and allow him to reach you there. Holy Spirit is such a dynamic life for you, but he's not going to force you to it. It takes us taking steps. So take those steps. Get uncomfortable. Ask him questions. And put yourself in places where you need his help. And you'll see a greater measure of Holy Spirit released in your life. I love you all. Praying for you. And God bless.